Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Today I want to talk to you about how to have difficult conversations. When I hop on here live, it's usually almost 99% of the time it's because something has just happened in my life, and I love to use my life as lessons for myself and then for others around me. So just recently I had 2 conversations with people who were avoiding difficult conversations. And then on top of that, I know I have a difficult conversation myself with someone very soon. So if you are a person who does not like conflict, I don't think anybody likes conflict, but if you're a person who avoids conflict at all cost because you don't want to rock the boat, you want to be liked, you just don't want to be that person, I want to challenge you to rethink your thinking and rethink the need to stay in a cocoon, if you will. When we want to constantly be liked, when we don't want to rock the boat, we are in essence saying that our opinion, our feelings don't matter. And I'm all about personal growth. I talk about personal growth almost every video that I get on. When we avoid conflict, a conversation that really needs to be had, we are telling ourselves we're not ready to grow. And lots of growth can happen within a conflict conversation. So stop worrying about being liked. Stop worrying about rocking the boat and start worrying about resolving something and growing as a result of that. And then I'd also say, don't put off those conversations that need to be had. Yes, you need to think before you speak, and I'm going to explain that in just a minute, but don't put them off. The more you avoid it, nothing really happens. It just either gets worse or it festers, you lose sleep, etc., etc. So don't put them off. And then the third thing is to expect a positive outcome. Maybe not immediately, but there will be something positive that comes from it. I'm big on making sure you speak positive words out to the universe. If we continue to be negative and we have that negative committee in our head, or we're just the glass half empty, or we just would rather have lemons instead of lemonade, we will bring those things on ourselves. So start speaking out positive. This conversation is going to go well. Might not be immediate, but there's something great that's going to happen from this. So be positive about it. So leaning into conflict is really, really effective. When you do that, you grow your voice, you grow your confidence, you grow your self-esteem, you grow your need to make sure you're feeling worthy. You grow in the midst of conflict. Conflicts are rarely pleasant. I don't know anybody who enjoys a conflict, but they're rarely pleasant in the short term. But in the long term, there's a ton of growth that can happen. So often it's not the conflict, but how it was handled as well. So remember, so often it's not that conversation, but how you're handling the conversation. So here are some things you can do before that difficult conversation. And they're really no-brainers, but I do think instead of flying off the handle, you are really PO'd at somebody, or there's just a miscommunication with a family member, a friend, a neighbor. Either way, before you just blindly leap into that conversation, there's some things you can do. And the first thing is to really figure out, okay, what is my purpose in having this conversation? What would I like the outcome to be? What's my purpose? So what you're doing is you are processing, you're introspecting. That's like the word that I use almost every video. Process it, introspection, being intentional, being present within that as well. The second thing that you can ask yourself is, what buttons were pushed and what buttons were pushed for the other person, because there usually are buttons that are pushed. And then the third thing that you can ask prior to this conversation is, okay, so what have I contributed to this conflict? Because no one's perfect. There's always two sides. And so you kind of have to own up to it. Even if it's minor and the other party is major, there's still some things. Okay, so here you are. Here are some tips on going into that difficult situation, that difficult conversation. First of all, number one, don't go into the difficult conversation from a selfish standpoint. Enter the conversation with kindness, humility, understanding, the desire to serve, because nothing good will come out, well, not nothing, but there won't be very much good that comes out if you enter, it's all about me. This is what I want you to do for me because I feel like you did this to me. Go into it with humility, kindness, understanding. How can I serve you? How can we handle this? And then the second thing is this little formula that Brendan Burchard came up with, and it's so basic, it's almost embarrassing, but sometimes we need formulas. And what you do is you just do this. It's the XYZ formula. So the X is when you're speaking to the other party. I saw X, or I heard X. I saw you do this. I heard you say this. That's how you want to start it out. And then you can say, I felt Y. I felt deceived. I felt disrespected. I felt angry. I felt you didn't serve me very well. I felt that. So X, Y, and then the Z is, can we talk about this? Are you ready to talk about this? Or I'd like to hear your thinking on this. So you're not just going at it and yelling or coming from an emotional, not making sense. You have prepared. You've asked yourself questions before, and then you go in with XYZ. Hey, Mary, poor Mary, she gets used in examples a lot. Hey, Mary, I heard you say this, and I felt this when I heard it. Can we talk about this? Are you ready? Or I'd really like to hear your thinking on this. Do you see, it's more of a conversation. And the third thing that you can do, you should do, is to be very patient. Go slow in that conversation. Remember, you have been intentional. You have been present. You have thought this through. So go slow, be patient, allow that other person to talk. Because here's what happens, and I do this. As they're talking, you've already created a script in your head, and you're ready for them to stop so you can get your 25 words out. Allow them to speak and hear, because you want them to do the same thing for you. You don't have to solve this conflict with one conversation. That's the other thing. Don't go into it like it has to be solved. You don't have to solve it. Make this conversation be the start of a new conversation. How's that? This conversation can lead into a new conversation. So that's it. That is my video on how to have uncomfortable conversations. Don't avoid them. Don't avoid them. No growth happens when you avoid them. So if you got any value out of this video, please pass it on to someone who may have a conflict that they have to address. I love paying things forward, so pay this forward and tag a friend, share it with a friend. Hey, if you have been in a situation where you've had to resolve a conflict, post your comments before. I want to hear from you. I'm all about growing, okay? So thank you so much. If you got any value, again, share it. Listen, I'm going to post a link to a great Facebook group that I have for a whole bunch of ladies who are we are seeking more confidence and we are helping other people become more confident. So I'm going to set that link in the comment section below. We want you to hop on over and join our free, there's no strings attached, club. Okay, so thank you so much. Enjoy your Tuesday.